All right, let's do this. Got my coffee. We're good. Delicioso. All right, all right, all right. So really, guest of the hour is Question Scout here, but given that just went live, of course, 1,000,001 people are asking about things like Qwary and BlockSurvey and Typebot, etc., etc. So we've got Question Scout, then we've got Qwary, Typebot, BlockSurvey. Yeah, we might explore some others, but these are going to be the core that I want to take a look at. So we're actually going to do this in kind of like reverse order. We're not going to focus on Question Scout out of the gate. I want to cover these three first, so that way we can spend a bit more time on Question Scout and take a look at like the shortcomings, pros and cons of each of these three and how they then stack up against Question Scout. So without further ado, let's take a look at Typebot first. Oops, sign in. Oh, okay, 1 second. Please hold. Cool. All right. Typebot. Right. Typebot. Here we go. So actually, out of the gate, let's cover this. Typebot, very clean interface. I mean, there's not really a lot going on. And actually, like when I first got this, this was a bit disconcerting. I was like, oh shit, what have I done? There's like nothing going on here, right? But like you just, go here, let's do start from scratch. And this is where the magic happens, So once again, it's still very clean, very minimal, but it's powerful, right? There's obviously people that are like more power users than I am probably, that use this on a more regular basis, but I'm going to touch on this a bit, just because I do think it's pretty powerful. So how do we get started? We kind of add a block, and then you've got just a few different options here, right? So Typebot is kind of like in between chatbot and then form builder. So it is powerful, but it kind of sits like right in this like little hybrid niche, making it maybe not as powerful as something like a land bot and not as powerful as something like a Question Scout. But I think it definitely deserves like an honorable mention just because it is extremely easy to use, very intuitive, and very powerful. And I think for a lot of folks, this type of product is maybe more than enough, and it gives them like a little widget style experience to like interact and engage, similar to like their little help thing here, which I think is great. So just taking a quick look at this, we do something, like this, and so this name, right? At block, email, at bubble. What is your email? And one thing that's important to note here too, right, is that when you do this add bubble, you actually have a few different options, which I think is also really powerful, from Typebot, which I think is kind of slept on, right? So you have the option just to add text, like a question. You can add an image or a GIF, which is really great. I think somebody earlier was asking about, can Question Scout do an image style question like this, and I'll show you in a little bit. Then there's video, and then embed as well. So you can embed something like calendar, right? So that's actually really powerful. And then we can do things here like name and email, right? And we can even come in here and we add that. It's like name. I'll just delete this real quick. I'm not going to go like too far into this, right? But I just want to show you if you ever have to publish first or not. We'll find out. Matthew will, say this, right? Cool, right, done, easy peasy. And you can like disable this type of thing, right? Like all of this, you can remove the footer, you can remove the little like redirect, etc. If you don't want to support them, but I think you should support them. I mean, I think Typebot actually has a lot of potential. And then you can also get into things like conditions, and so like this is where you'll see people like Josh who push out like a tree, right? of all their like branching conditions and stuff. So I mean, like this is very powerful. I think if you're looking more for like a conversational style bot, and maybe don't need all the bells and whistles as other things, I'm actually not sure if it's still an LTD or not. It was a past LTD, but I think for those who bought it and maybe put it on the shelf, you should really take a look at this and see if it works for your use case the best. Because odds are it probably actually will. Um, you do connect in, to different things like Google Sheets, webhooks, etc. Like, your basics. These are all through Zapier, so I just credit those. And Integromat and Pabbly are also available as well. You do email notifications. You can share different types of ways. You can share like your link. You can customize it as well by adding a domain. You can also like embed it. And then results are going to be like pretty minimal. Obviously, don't have any yet, but it's pretty standard stuff. Right. Anyway, done. Hit it and quit it. Next one we're going to take a look at is BlockSurvey. So it's actually kind of cool. I know BlockSurvey has been really popular the community for its deal because it does offer things like brand kit, where you can upload fonts if you want, and you can upload your images of your actual brand as well to implement in your like templates and designs, which is really cool. They also have different templates of all types of different things. I thought the Myers-Briggs personality test template was actually pretty cool. I didn't actually use it to be fair, but the fact that it is a template that is built out, it was pretty nice for lead gen. And then you could do things like one question at a time. And then you could do classic where it's just a full page, or you can do conversational where it's more of like a bot-like experience. So I think BlockSurvey actually has a lot of strengths to it. The one thing, maybe I deleted it all. The one thing I really don't like about this, and this is one thing that I keep asking in groups and questions, is when people say things like, oh, BlockSurvey versus Questionscout. Well, what's your use case, right? If you're going to be doing things with variables and calculations, etc., yeah, I didn't put it here. You'll kind of see here like how to use these different use cases. It gets a bit tricky. Yeah, for example, this, right? This is really what's kind of annoying. So what you would have to do is you'd have to create an expression for, say you have like 4 different types of outputs or outcomes that you're expecting. You would basically have to say like, this is option 1. And then your expression would have to be, crap, I forget. You have to declare it again like this. But you would have to basically do like question 1. Actually, let me do this differently. Let me do this slightly differently. Let me just do this option 1. Validate. Oh boy. Right. Let me create a question first. That would be better. Question. We're going to which one? Option 3. Option 4. Right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not logic. Yeah, so here we go. So choose one is like, so basically say like these are your 4 different outputs, right? Like at any given time, one of these 4 variables is going to be the final output that somebody has, like to redirect them somewhere. So we're basically saying like if they choose 1, then we want to assign like 1 point to the expression name, and we'll have to create that. So option 1. Yeah, I think that's fine. And then if I go to variables and then expressions, and then how do I affect this? Question was 4 options. ABC. Oh yeah, it's this one. A, B value Crap. I had this set up in a different thing. I actually deleted it. Wait, drafts. Oh, maybe it's here. Maybe it's here. Okay, here we go. Yeah, here we go. Here we go. All right. Okay. So I actually set up some things. So you'll see here that like in order to get the full total of one expression slash variable, I have to like go through each question and set up each like response and then add everything to each other, which is kind of really annoying. So how do I have it set up here? Yeah. So basically like assigning 1 to disengager 3, like etc. So like every question has basically its own like variable or assignment name, and then you have to add all those together. So obviously here where I have like all 4 options built out, you know, like it might not add something to this, right? But that 0 value has to be shown. It can't just create a tally. So and then like here at an output. So I think do this quickly where we just do class coordinate. So to doing like disengage your feeler 1 1 1 and then disengage again. So you'll see here like here are the outputs, right? The tallies, etc. But like while this does work and while it's obviously possible, it's not the most intuitive because there are just so many different steps in how you set this up with expressions, right? Like it's not actually a variable that you're declaring an expression because you have to do like a calculation. And this ends up kind of like eating a lot of time, whereas in Questionscout, I'll show you it's very simple and easy. I've shown it in past videos. I'll go over it again though. But going back over just like the actual capabilities of Questionscout, there are quite a number of field options, which is really nice and helpful. You've got all of your different like choice styles, your different ratings, if you're doing more NPS stuff, some of like your predefined contact information, as well as consent, et cetera, right? So I think BlockSurvey has more options when it comes to NPS style of scales. So I think BlockSurvey overall is really great. If in most use cases you're not doing a lot of calculations or quizzing, and yes, while it is obviously still capable of doing it, I don't think it's the best. Then you might be happy with question or with a BlockSurvey. It has like a lot of different design choices, as you sort of saw. Kind of change things. You can use different fonts. You can update the background. You know, toggle between different things like conversational, classic, etc. So I think it's very capable in terms of its application. In terms of like sharing, got your usual sharing options. You've got like QR code, email, custom URL, and you can also set up your own custom domains. And then you can embed, do a widget, and then it has like webhooks, boom, 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 and then responses. I haven't published this, so I don't have any, but you'll see here, like here's a little demo of what you can expect, which is actually not that bad. Some others don't provide something quite as robust as this. So I would say that their analytics / responses is actually one of the better ones for sure. Analytics, we're not going to have anything here either, right? So, and then it's also encrypted, right? If you're worried more about security and privacy and stuff, like you can rest assured. I mean, you would like to obviously have faith that any platform you use is going to be pretty secure, but you get like that extra little nudge with blockchain through BlockSurvey. All right, done with that. Let's take a look at Qwary. Like I said, I'm not going to like drill super deep into this stuff. If you're looking for something like super in depth, maybe go check out one of my last videos. This is truly just to like show you an overview of like what different things offers. Like for example, you know, like Qwary is going to give you a lot of like sentiment feedback, different tags, etc., for like a more comprehensive analytics look and feel. I mean, you can see that here in terms of like NPS, CSAT, and CES here. So like, and that's why I'm saying also in groups and questions is that if your primary focus is also like on feedback or NPS or anything like that, then Qwary is really strong. It's going to give you a lot more comprehensive like analytics and results for that. But if you want something like quiz as well, like if you want something like that's a little more diversified and holistic, you're not going to necessarily find that with Qwary, for better or worse, right? I'm gonna go back to this. I think the user interface is pretty solid too with Qwary. I mean, you see all of them are using kind of like the sidebar, right? This is pretty standard and typical in terms of the options. Obviously, things are like more comprehensive or less comprehensive depending on needs, but it's all more or less the same thing, right? You're going to see a lot of similarities in that respect. Like if I go here, you can look at logic. I've got like some conditional logic built in here. Where basically if you're saying like you want to do text or video response, then we kind of bounce around. In terms of like actual composition, add new questions. So this is kind of what I'm saying is that Qwary is like a little more restrictive, and you'll see like a lot of this is sort of like NPS feedback, CSAT, CES type of responses. So you're conducting more feedback stuff while you do have some things like multiple choice and like a text box, etc. It's kind of very superficial and very like surface level. It's really focused more on things like the video responses and screenshots and things like smiley scale, etc. Right. You know, and it's cool. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, Qwary is great, but it's very focused on these types of things. I'm struggling to even remember if it does have variables and calculations. I want to say no. Sorry. Let's see, variable. I don't. Right, we've got rules. I think rules are purely logic, though. They're not anything else. So you're not really dealing with numbers or anything like that, you know. So like you'll get these logic rules, but that's about it. Like you're not going to get calculations with Qwary. Then and some people don't need that, right? And that's what I'm saying is like, you know, it's obviously use case by use case basis where you may not need that, and that's fine. And then in terms of like actual responses, you get a lot better like analytics, I think, with Qwary in comparison. Right, like you're getting questions, you're getting responses when it loads. Getting sentiment as well. Compare, etc., right? So, but this is really where like Qwary strengths are. And it's designed more with this in mind and not just purely like, okay, we have some form fields, let's take that data and do something else with it. Like this is kind of an all-in-one where, you know, you want all of your feedback in this platform and then you want to analyze it directly in here. And then you can also download it like to CSV as well. If you want to manipulate this or visualize this in any other way with the data that you receive. Cool. And then last but not least, we're looking at Questionscout now. And this is what I'm going to focus on primarily. Awesome. So let's see. Let's take a look at their results. I think they made some updates and fixed some of these things. Yeah, cool. You get like your first name, last name stuff was missing last time, but now it's there. So why do I like Questionscout? And I will go over this a million times. Cool. So easily you can switch between conversational and traditional. Just kind of reloads to reformat things. But what I really like about Questionscout are the following. Thank you pages. Actually, let me go back to the other one before I start taking to this. Thank you pages. Somebody's asking about, if I go down here, I think I said 16. I don't think it made it 16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14. Oops. Okay, it's 14. Basically, I have like 14 different thank you pages that all redirect. This is just like some placeholder. This is really where we're focusing on, is the redirect URL. You'll see that this is based on disengager and feeler. So those are the outcomes that we're expecting. So here with if so on the website, if I open this up, you'll see that it won't be exactly, actually, maybe it is exactly that. No, it's not exactly that. Right, but you'll see that this page now has like disengager and feeler, and kind of like a CTA to buy the associated thing. But this is the thank you page. So if I do something like this, fixer and feeler, this will, oops. Wait, so no, feeler and fixer, right? Okay, that's it. Oops. There we go. Right, so feeler and fixer are here as well. But the reason it kind of did that was because I have it truly like looking at this. So if it's like reverse, it's not actually checking that keywords are contained in there. It's checking the actual like parameters in that order, which is fine because obviously if I'm accessing it through a form and redirecting it, they don't have any way to influence that. So it will always be that. So yeah, you can have all different types of thank you pages, all with different like redirects based on logic. So also if I go down here, we'll take a look at this, right? So the logic here is that if feeler is like more in terms of like points, so it has a higher point value than disengager, fixer, rescuer, then obviously it's the winner, the only winner. If we go here, disengager and feeler, we are checking that it's equal to feeler because those are the two that we're expecting, and then their disengager is more than the others, right? Because we don't have to then also declare that feeler is more because we're declaring that feeler and disengager are at the same point level. So if disengager is more than everything else, that also means that feeler is as well. Okay, I'm hungry. Yeah, are you eating? Okay, good boy. And then likewise here, where we're saying that it's equal to, and then more than, right? So this is extremely, extremely powerful. And so then how do we sort of get here? I can go through this instead. Actually, I don't need to create a new thing. You'll see all these like little calculator symbols means that there's calculations involved with this. Excuse me, they obviously updated recently. So we go here, right. We go here. Actually, I took a step back. Where are variables these days? Here, no, here, no, here, no, here, no, here, yeah, calculation variable. So you'll see I have different calculation variables assigned. So there's score, which is I think like default. I don't know if I can get rid of that even if I wanted to. But we have our 4 assigned ones here: disengager, fixer, feeler, and rescuer. So we're just saying the initial point value is 0, and that we've assigned disengager as the modifier / variable. So then, oops, if I go here, we'll see that we have our calculations added. So this is where I was before, right? So I clicked in here, but collapse that. And so now we're actually assigning the variables. So if I go to disengager, we're saying that this option, you passively listen, is disengager, and we're adding 1 point to disengager for that response. Likewise for fixer, we're saying that like come up with a plan, right? So this would be fixer, et cetera, in order. And all we're doing is tallying this for a total point value, which usually I have like at the bottom of the page to QA, but it's obviously feeding into our responses here. So if I now go back to my test form, I'll show you how to set that up a bit more clearly. I'll give you some examples. So we're going to add an element. Also looking at elements. So you'll see here slightly different choice of elements, right? You don't necessarily have all of the sort of like NPS, like CSAT and CES type of questions, which is why I'm saying that if you're really focused on that, Qwary is going to be like almost the hands down winner, right? But for everything else, and I mean, there's a scale here, right? If you really want a scale, but this isn't going to be like emojis or anything like that. They might also obviously add things now that they're done with this whole rework. I know they're kind of like going through and fixing some minor bugs and issues, but now for the most part that this massive overhaul is done with, they'll start adding things again. Right, what am I doing? Delete this. Oh boy. Okay, so we're going to do kind of a single choice question. We're going to do, yeah, we'll leave it as this, it's fine. Then we'll do some calculations. So we are creating a C variable, we're calling it option 1. Then we're going to create a new variable, option 2. Can you embed the quizzes into emails? No. Don't think so. You can send them a link, but you can like email, like you can send it via email, right? But you can't embed. I would say there are very few tools that actually do that, and obviously the ones that do are very focused on that aspect. I'm trying to think of like which ones come to mind. I know there have been some like through AppSumo, for example, that have had more like NPS style like feedback responses in an email that you could embed. But I would say in terms of like what I'm kind of doing here is lead gen, right? Like I'm not going to do lead gen in an email necessarily because that's just a lot. You might do like your little calculators as well. Like you might get some emails from like mortgage companies that have calculators built into the email. But that's not what Questionscout's primary focus is at the moment. Back to this, sorry. But you can embed this on like a website and stuff as well, right? So even if you send them an email, you can then redirect to like a page where this would be hosted. I know it's obviously not like super smooth experience. There's like some friction there, but I think the experience you'll be able to provide with Questionscout being embedded elsewhere is going to trump what you're going to be able to get from something that's embedded in an email. Just because also you have to take consideration not every like ESP plays well with those types of things. So yeah, sure, you might like embed something and send it to somebody in an email with one ESP, but they might not necessarily see it, right? Depending on the limitations of that. Okay, cool. So we have our variable set up. So we're basically then going to add a calculation, option 1, add 1 to option 1. Right, so we're saying that if it's option 1, we're adding 1 to option 1. Back out, add calculation, option 2, select option 2, add 1 to option 2, and then option 3. Oops. Move this. Option 3, add 1 to option 3, right? So now where I was saying like BlockSurvey, oops, that's not where it is. So in terms of like expressions, so BlockSurvey, we would have to, in theory, take like every single one of these and then add them all together. But what Questionscout's allowing us to do is it's just adding one to the variable and then housing that within itself. So if I do something, like duplicate this, here we go. So if I basically just like duplicate these questions, now if I go into like question 2, right, we're going to see we're in question 2, and I go here, like all of those are still intact. And so now if I do something like this, where I go to a description field and then tally, option 1, option 2, option 3. And then I could do this. You do like at and then this to get to your little variables. Right. Can't tell if there's a space in between these or not. Okay, cool. So now if I go through this, I think this is my qualm with the update. So before you could preview it and you didn't have to push it live, but now I think you have to like push it live. No? Yeah, it's published, right? It's not coming right. Anyway, so what we're expecting here is that as I go through, like I can do this, this, and this, right? Boom. So that's like super simple and easy. I don't have to like go through here and then like I don't even remember how I sat down and did this. But just the fact that you have to like go through and if this is 20 questions deep, then you have to go through and okay, for every single option you have to do like the first iteration of that plus the second plus and then do that 20 times for this variable, do it 20 times for this, so it's a lot of like duplicated work. So yes, it is theoretically possible to do a quiz, but depending on like how long that quiz is going to be updated, like this will just eat so much of your time. This, I can easily duplicate this over and over and over again. Obviously, I'll have to fill out the questions, but in terms of the actual like calculation logic, it's all set in stone. Like it doesn't matter how many times I press duplicate, that will always be reflective of what I do. Like if I do 1, 1, 2, 2, 2 for those, 2 for that, 3, 4, there, right? Oops. Just like that, right? But you'll see like all these update in real time, super easy peasy, right, etc. So in terms of like a quiz, super simple to update that, and you don't have to like worry about accounting for different types of variables. And then when you come here, different thank you pages, you can do display message. We'll say like option 1. This is option 1. Just keeping it super simple. 2. And then option 3. Okay, so now if I go back through this, option 1, option 1, option 1, 2, 2, 3, 3. And we obviously know this is kind of flawed, right? Like somebody could, in theory, have the same, as we saw. Actually, how many questions are there? Yeah, there's 9, right? So you could do something like 3, 3, 3, and all be even. So this isn't fleshed out or complete, which is why you saw I had like 14 different variations of thank you pages. But now if I hit submit, like we're expecting that option 1 is going to be the thank you page, right? And so this very well could be a redirect to a URL. You could do like display message and URL with a delay, right? You could do like 3-second delay or something, and then push them elsewhere, right? Or you could just do instantly redirect with the URL if you want to do something like I did with if so, where then you can pass parameters through this based on what you built in if so. Let me see if I can pull that up actually real quick. Those are your thank you pages, but it makes quizzes, and especially like lead gen quizzes, super, super, super simple by doing so. We actually like explored using Marquiz, which is obviously past LTD. It looked really pretty and it was cool that you could like gate content behind like filling everything out, like an ebook or something like that. But in terms of like our use case. Once again, use cases is extremely important. Use cases are having a use case is extremely important. There we go. Just wasn't working because for them you had to do like conditional logic, and that would just be like branching things out. We couldn't just tally and make things super simple. Everything had to be super complicated, right? So it was like one extreme or the other that we had to choose, and ultimately Questionscout just delivers. So let's take a look here. I don't think I'm really exposing anything. Yeah, cool. So you'll see here, this is if so. So we basically have like page URL is, and then we have this is what we're building out, right? So this part is the results page, and then we're saying that for a disengager, so like if so disengager, we're going to show them this, right? And so on and so forth. You'll see here we have all these different options, which is actually really cool too by doing it this way as well. They might have updated it with the latest results, but I'm also not sure. Yeah, I don't think it's quite as robust yet. Like I said, this gives you more of just kind of like pure data, not necessarily like a visualization yet. I know they're working on visualization, and I think that's what this new interface is supposed to like facilitate, especially with like different tabs where you can then build things out. Like I think this is kind of just the foundation that they're laying to get it out there, and also like test the basic elements of it before they start building on top of it. But what was cool was that somebody wanted to know, like, hey, what was like the spread of things? So I know, that version A had the most views, which means that people were sent to that link the most. So that means that like most people in this quiz were disengagers. And so then knowing that, they were able to take that and then make like a TikTok video for disengagers because they knew the majority of their respondents were disengagers, and then followed by C, which is fixers, right? So I thought this was actually really cool. And that is, I would say, the great strength of redirecting versus just showing a blank thank you page like this, if possible, right? Plus it also gets you like traffic, right? Gets people like landing on the thing, then maybe try to sell them on something. Obviously next iteration will be better than this. We try to like rush it, but you could style it and have like a better CTA and like call to action to get people to convert and purchase a product, if that's really what you're trying to do. All right, what other questions? True. Okay, that's my questions. Just declaration. What else? I mean, you can customize themes. You could do something as gaudy as this one that I was just like going super overboard with. All right, image choice. That's what somebody was asking about. Yeah, I think you have image choice. I don't think you can ask a question with an image, if that makes sense. So what do I mean by that? If I go here, and actually, I guess you could, right? You could add an image. Where'd you go? Here? Oh, here. 1 second, let me do this. I'll quit. Gotta protect all my porn. We'll find this. Good boy. That's a big boy. Is one any smaller? You're not smaller. You're worse is. Okay. Let me go back over here. So somebody was asking, like, could you have like a question, like an image? Say like this is a monument. Actually, sorry. Let me go back. Select file. Yeah, you have to upload. Okay. Advance. Oh, image scale. Here we go. Well, let me show you that. Okay. So obviously the image like load it up like this. You can do much smaller image scale. But somebody was basically asking, like, can you do an image question, not necessarily image choice, which is obviously here. Image choice, where you have like, these are replaced by images. Instead, they wanted to like say this is a monument and then give questions. So what you could do here is, yes, very simply, you like upload an image and then your following question is like, what monument is this, right? It's like, what is this slogan? Right, and then these are your answers, and then you just continue on. So it might not necessarily seamlessly fit within one thing in terms of like your results, right? Like you're not going to see the image, but as long as you know what that question is in relation to, then I don't think it really matters as much. The fact that you can display an image, I think, is more than enough. I'll have to report back to that person because I don't think they're watching. But anyway, that is something that was mentioned as like a use case as well. And then what was the other thing? The other thing was, I'm not going to get like obviously crazy. Well, let's go crazy. It's only 6 a.m. Let me take a step back. All right, what are we doing? Going into our form. Play around with the sidebar a bit. So we have our themes. We can do update things like this. Right. Messaging. And this is all like in a past video, so it's going to be redundant for some people that watch that. But given maybe more people are going to watch this now that Questionscout LTD is live, here we go. So you can localize everything, right? If you're dealing with different like languages, you can change and adapt to whatever language you need, which is nice. They don't necessarily have like all languages, right? Like if I'm replacing this with Thai, then not Thai, Korean. If I replace this with Korean, partially because Thai isn't necessarily a language. If I replace this with Korean, like then what people will see is Korean. But what's also kind of nice too is that you can import from other forms. So if I've previously done this with anything else, I can go ahead and pull that into here. So you don't have to like replicate your work or duplicate, replicate work. Notifications. Somebody was also asking about like SMTP stuff. Like, if I have a free Google account, but I want to send emails out with my business account, you could do that here. Like you would just set up your SMTP. I don't have one set up, but it's very much possible. And I might be misquoting things, but I think you get unlimited SMTPs. What is it? Questionscout.com/TDF. I know, at least I like business plan, so I get like unlimited domains. Do you get unlimited SMTPs? That was really loud. Sorry. I don't see anything. I think you can. I think you can. And then it's all just in this dropdown. So that's a question that I received. Anyway, you can do that, and you can do that here as well. Oops. Not working. Response confirmation. You can do payment confirmation as well. Right. It's like, hey, we received your response. We received your payment. Etc. We're going to do payments through here. Their payments are actually pretty intuitive. It's not as robust as something like Adaform, and I'm not going to get into like every different form builder that I have, but Adaform actually has like really nicely templated like products where you've got like a little plus minus, for your quantities and your total, etc., and then it kind of does everything for you. So that's really nice. This is going to require like a bit more legwork. Got smart taxes though if you want, which is kind of nice. You can do like smart taxes based on country, etc., or you can do flat rate tax. Payment settings. So you can do flat rate, but you can also do based on number field, which we don't have, or a calculation variable. So I can actually go ahead and set this up quickly. So if we go back here, so what I'm saying is like, we could do, how do we do this? Probably just single choice, but we could do multiple choice. We could do multiple choice, but we'd have to build it out like a lot more with different logic, which is going to be a little time consuming. If this is going to be something that you're actually going to generate revenue from, it's obviously worth investing that time. But if we're going to do like a single choice question, we could do this is like product selection. Product 1, product 3, okay. And then we're going to have to remove, actually, look at that. Add product 1. Oops. Click. Product 2. Does anybody have any other questions while I'm in here? Oh, do you think we used to make a mortgage calculator can it get that complex? Yeah, so I think it obviously can. It can get very complex. They have I'll have to try to find it in this new interface. In terms of the calculations that they do allow you to do, like in terms of the formulas, it's very robust. The only downside though is I would say things like sliders. I feel like usually with like the great UX of those types of like mortgage calculators is that, can I just pull one up quick? A good calculator. Oops. I think great odds are like Rocket Mortgage or something. Or Wallet maybe. I don't know. Let's see. I usually get these like sliders. Yeah, here we go. Like here's one, right? So obviously, if you expect something like this for Questionscout, no. But this is obviously a whole platform that is built and designed around this with obviously a lot more development. Like, I can't just do little sliders and get things dynamically populated like that. You would need something more like this, right? Where you could do interest rates, etc. I don't know enough about it. Like I could sit down and do the math, obviously, right? But you could do, oops. I mean, if we're doing this, well, I said payments. Let me do payments first, and let me get into that mortgage thing. I'm obviously not going to build out mortgage calculator, but I can show you like what options you have available to you to facilitate that. So in terms of products, actually, let me delete all this other stuff. This is a bit time consuming, and I hope they revisit this. Is that so? They added this whole like hold and click to delete thing, but I don't think there's a way to like mass delete multiple fields quickly and easily. Such that depending on how many questions you have, it might honestly be better just to create a new form. Description I can like redesignate to products. So we're saying it's like product 1, product 2, product 3. So I go back in here, we can basically say that add calculation product 1. We're going to say like this is basically like $25, right? Product 2 is going to be $35. And then product 3, 25, 35 is 60. So let's just say 55. We're going to do like a $5 discount, right? So now if we go here, price, price. Right, no, I thought you had this. Hey, my brain. So then let's, well, we could do score. No, should we do score? Let's do price. Price. Modifier. How do we? Is it plus? I feel like this is wrong. How did I do it before? I don't think I have a form that does this. It's slightly nuanced. I don't know if they changed it. How did they do it? Sorry, 1 second. Let me reference this. It's slipping my mind. I think it's like slightly nuanced because it's not like just setting this. Like you have to like set the modifier as like price, like times 0 or something. 1 second. Calculation. Mathematical expressions. Yeah. So we're gonna do something like this, I think. I'm basically saying like this. Yeah, so if we set price to be 0, and then you're now adding different variables. So this would be like at product 1. You know, obviously you wouldn't have to do this, like, right? The way I'm setting it up, that's it. The way I'm doing this is if you're doing multiple choice and you're adding multiple products to one thing, versus naturally if you're just doing one product, you wouldn't have to do this. You could just simply take the total of that product and then pass it through instead. Okay, so now this at price. Oh no, did I not say that? No, I did. Price. Calculation variable price. Am I blind? It's not here. Oh, all right. It just showed me those options, right? Okay, so now if I do this, so we'll see like 25, then 35, and then 55, right? So we're confirming that actually works the way it's intended. So now back to like mortgage calculator, right? This, so if we're using this as sort of an example, we could do something that was like number. So this would be like down payment. Yeah, I mean, we could do numbers and number. So what you can also do here too. Think. Do hidden stuff. Calculation. Yeah, so you could do like a hidden number. So if you're doing like home price, so 200,000, right? What's the fun of this? Home price. So we're just saying home price is 200,000, and then we could do down payment for that. I'm trying to think. We'd have to do like a read only if we're not doing. No, we could prefill. You can prefill. Can I prefill with a variable now? Okay, no, I think that's the problem. I don't think I have any way to prefill X with a variable. Trying to think. I'm basically the only thing I'm like really trying to think of is this, like adjusting the percentage. I can easily say like the percentage of this is this, but considering like these obviously work independent of each other. So I do 45,000, or I can do, I don't know, like 15%, right? And either or sort of dynamically populate. I don't think you would get that from here. I think you would have to basically do one or the other. Like I think you could maybe make a section, and then maybe you could have like a single choice question, which wouldn't be the best in terms of like UX. Like I don't know, like basically say like how would you like to calculate which, and then for your options you could do like down payment by amount or something, and then like down payment by percentage, and then this done. Right, and then you basically then branch off of here into different conditions. You can then do something like this where you put it on a different page. And then you could like do skip logic based on that. So you could do, let's say like this is the first page, like this is the first thing we see, and then you can make this the percentage. Move this up button price here. Population period. Am I doing this right? So you do this element calculation here, you'd add this, and then you basically say whatever the value is here, we'll add it to the price. And then for down payment, we could do the calculation based on this, right? And then if we did, those are my questions. Okay, these are my questions. So then, oh. Okay, seems a little glitchy. I think this kind of a slight glitch. Oops. No, you know what? We could basically like duplicate these into, right? Duplicate this, pull this down, and then all you would do is how's this working? Why is it showing like this? So this is obviously a glitch from the update where it's not necessarily showing. Oh, that's like delete. That's not there yet. Maybe that's why. Okay. It was kind of flipped. I see. More user than this an actual glitch. Right, because these are on the first page. These are on the next page. Okay, cool. So anyway, this is where my head's at. Is like basically you put in your home price, and then you can say like, do you want to do it by the amount, or the percentage, and then from there you could do conditional logic, basically saying, like from here, if it's by amount, go to like this page, and then you would do. Oh, okay, just took a minute. And then you could make. You can't pre-fill. That's what I was saying, right? Placeholder. I have to check on this. Is it only? You used to be able to like pipe in responses. But I don't know how you do that anymore. Let me check the docs real quick. Okay. For two, that's what I think. Title type. Oh, okay. It says you can refer to in the following locations field title and supporting text. The following fields are supported to be referred back to: short answer, long answer, number is one. Number. Place. Oh, okay, here we go. So I mean that doesn't probably really change things. Okay, so what we can do instead, hang with me here. So you're just throwing like something like description. I don't know where this description is. Description, where are you? This whole page breaks are getting screwy. I think they need to take a look at that for sure. Yeah, I don't know why it's this whole preview is screwy. But anyway, the description could be like your percentage, and then you'll have to use your imagination here, but you could basically calculate percentage based on like the home price that they provide and then the down payment, and then still display the percentage of what it's at based on the amount. And then you can do vice versa, where then you do the reverse calculation of, okay, this is the home price, this is the percentage they want to do, and then all you're doing here would be down payment, right? So you can like show those, and then you can use the page breaks. The preview is really screwy. But basically what you would do is you just create this conditional logic where if they want to choose by the amount, then okay, you do down payment, and then you swap this out with like a description field that says like this is the percentage of that amount. So they can't really interact with it or engage with it, but at least it shows them the number. And then you could do percentage where you skip to a different page break. You basically have the same stuff, but you flip it. And then you could do something like drop down, interest rate, etc. Right? So it is possible. It's obviously not going to look anything like this, but it is possible through calculations. I think if that's like a massive thing that drives your business, it's worth investing the time in doing it. I'll reach out to Questionscout and let them know like this whole page break thing is being really screwy. Before it wasn't like this. I almost want to say it. Let me just 1 second. How do I get? Is this changing? Yeah, page breaks aren't going to be here. I want to say before, when this was traditional, it showed everything. It was like one big long thing, and then even if you put page breaks, it just showed it in terms of like kind of something like this, but then it kept going and it created like a little divide. That was a much better UX than this, because this is just really screwy. I mean, this obviously clearly separates the page, so you can see exactly what's supposed to be on there. But as we're finding out, that's not. Or did it reset now? Did me switching screens reset it? I guess it kind of did. Everything's here. Okay, whatever. Okay, so maybe just have to sort of like refresh the page, like go between some things. I don't know. It's a bug, obviously. So what was I saying? Home price. So we put description would be like down payment. What did I do before? This back here. Yeah, it's still bugging. Anyway, I hope that makes sense. I hope you understand what I'm trying to say. Basically, home price. Let them choose how they want to do it, because you can't type in the number, and then you can have description as either the down payment amount or the percentage of that based on the calculation that you do on the back end over here. What else? Okay, payments, we sort of took a look at. The thing I really like about payments with this is that, as you saw here, is that you can set up your sandbox or live. Sorry, one second. Not every platform allows you to do this, and you can also create or connect multiple payment gateways. Some platforms like only allow you to attach one. So even if I'm an agency or a business managing different clients or projects or whatever, in other platforms you can only connect one payment process, which doesn't make sense at all. So that means that you have to take all the funds and then somehow like distribute them out, which is really frustrating and annoying and complicated. Whereas this, you can not only attach multiple payment gateways for every business, but you can also do live and sandbox keys. So you can actually test the stuff and process like test transactions versus live, which is another like restriction I've seen in other platforms where, yeah, sure, you can connect the gateway, but then all you can do is connect the live key. You can't do live and or test to easily switch between the two. You can also do here where if you set up your custom domains, you can set a custom domain for an entire workspace. So for me, it's like, you know, form.sapphirewolf.co. If I go here, it's quiz.murmur.co, etc. So that's nice. It just means that any form that you then push out is going to use that like, nomenclature. So like if you share, you'll see now it's form.sapphirewolf.co. And then I can go oh, yes, yeah. That's it. Okay, custom domain. Sorry, this all changed. Custom domain you can do form alias, and then you can do like test form. All right. So now this will just be test form, like here. Right. In terms of publishing, I didn't really go over that today. So you can do like embed, you can either fixed or responsive, you can do pop-up or full screen as well. And then you have like your QR code and all the other typical things that you should get here. And then as you saw here, you can easily switch between traditional and conversational. Conversational isn't going to be maybe like BlockSurvey where you get this is conversational, right? BlockSurvey calls one at a time. But other platforms call this conversational, for example, which is what you're going to get from a Questionscout. Where am I? Gotta get rid of that now. Like if I go to this and I go to here, so this is traditional, right? If I go share, open. It's traditional, just full page, scroll down. Let me get back to that. That's what I need to know. Here, okay. Conversational. So now if I go here, this is what it calls conversational. So one at a time in BlockSurvey versus conversational. This is more of a chatbot type of feel, right? So here you do this, etc. You can also do, you know, like A or B. You know, it's my mouse hand. I'm not using my mouse. I'm just using keyboard shortcuts, like two hands. I'm not using my mouse. Wait, this is my mouse hand. I'm using like up arrow, down arrow to like actually navigate through things. A, B, next, center, etc. Right. So it works just as well. You know, you could do progress bars and stuff too, up at the top if you really wanted to. Okay, what else? Anybody have questions? There's nobody really watching at this point, but if you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. Let me just dig through Facebook real quick. see if anybody had any other questions that I missed. So far, both also does not support multiple table entry question type. I always wanted this for requirement gathering forms, but can't find the tool so far. Multiple table entry question type. Multiple table entry question type. So I think if I'm understanding the question, and it's not under this comment section, I'm like trying to comb through posts that I've made leading up to this. Where is one? I think it's just on my website. So I think that question would be answered with something like Fluent Forms if I'm understanding the question correctly. Also, Fluent Forms somewhat added conversational forms too. So I think the question, if I'm understanding it, in terms of multiple table entry question type, give me 1 second where to find this. Let's sum right here. I think it's advanced. Is it good? Reading it? No, not it. It is here somewhere. Give me 1 second. Let me just find it. Is it this? No. It's repeat field. There we go. So I think what's kind of being asked here, right, is media. So for support multiple table entry question type, multiple table entry. I'm stupid, so I don't fully understand what that question is. But this is my interpretation. Is that in terms of like, if you want table entry question types, you could do that here. You could do something like name, phone number, email. I don't know, right? But then like, this isn't the right use case. I'm just trying to come up with something off the top of my head. Obviously, if somebody has something much better, I don't know, think of this maybe as a product quantity. Yeah, let's just make that right. But product name, well, it's just like numeric quantity of said product, and then maybe like where it's located. So like product URL. So no, right. Heck, and then maybe if we do something as crazy as this, or the selection field. No. Store status. I could do active, inactive. Yeah, something like that. Say form, preview design. So I think what I'm understanding from this type of question is that, like, you know, I could do product one. Oops. So that, and we've got like 5 of those, and it's just like you go back on. Right. And it's active, and then we have like product 2. We've got 10 of those. It's also google.com, but this is inactive, et cetera, et cetera. I think this is the question I'm understanding. In terms of like support multiple table entry question type, this is what I'm visualizing as a table, and you know, you can add multiple entries within this. But this is Fluent Forms. This is Fluent Forms on WordPress. I also struggled to find something similar to that. in an SaaS product, but I'm trying to think off the top of my head if that's even possible here. I don't think so, no. Like the best thing I would say they could probably do, and it would be a super weak solution, would be maybe create like a section and then add different things in that, but then you would have no way of like repeating that without just constantly like submitting the form over and over and over again. But it's not, oops, whatever one. It's not like here where you can add or remove fields, right? So I'd say if that's high up on your priority list and like that's your use case and this is something that you'll need a lot, then check out Fluent Forms. I don't know, I think they still have an LTD. You know, they like an LTD sale recently, I believe. And this also has a ton of different fields, right? I mean, I love Fluent Forms. It's what I use for all my WordPress websites for like registration, like input, capture, patient forms, etc. Like, super powerful. I love Fluent Forms. I think it's arguably the best WordPress form builder. Okay, let me refocus. What other questions we have here? I've got like welcome pages too. Any other questions? Any other questions? Some more comments. Let's see. I don't see anything else. Yeah, I think that's it. Let me check. Nobody else has any questions. Yeah, but overall, I think Questionscout is like hands down winner. I think it has like workspaces. I think other products are obviously talking about like, oh, why workspaces, but it's here, it's live, it's viable. You've got all of your different workspaces. Like I said, you can, you know, if you had like SMTP set up, it's nice that you can just assign a custom domain SMTP for that workspace, so you don't ever have to touch that again. You can add members if you want. You'll see here like these little boxes are different members. It's glitched at the moment. Actually, did they fix it? Let me pull it over here. 1 second. Delete avatar, upload image. Cool. Did it hold? Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So now the avatars worked. But it was kind of glitched before, and you can see like it maybe I like more of like a rounded avatar, at least for this particular logo. But anyway, now it displays. Yeah, you can sort of see it here too. It's kind of grayed out. It'll, yeah, right. What else? Trying to think of anything else. I mean, if nobody else has any questions, I think I'm done then. It's already been like an hour and a half. Jesus. But yeah. So quick recap. I think Typebot is really great if you want a like true conversational chatbot like experience, but with forms in mind. This is something that's possible in like a Landbot, for example, but Typebot does it really well. It's really simple. It's very intuitive. It's like very powerful as well, right? With adding bubbles and beds, etc. BlockSurvey, I think, is extremely powerful. I think if you have BlockSurvey and if it really truly ticks all of the boxes that you need from it, then you probably don't need a Questionscout. I ultimately think you've got like a little more creative freedom when it comes to the themes. When you customize it, like this is kind of very minimal in terms of what you can customize. Whereas here, if I go into the themes and I really want to customize the theme, you have a plethora of options, right? I mean, here you go. Like you click into one of these and you've got all of your different display settings with your margins, etc. Your die. You can change your colors of all, you know, like this is truly a customizable theme. not to discredit this. It's just, this is a bit weaker. It's there. It's definitely there. But if you really want granularity over all of your options, then Questionscout is going to be the clear winner there. Like I said, for the thing for me, and I reached out to BlockSurvey about this and try to pick their brain of like, is it possible to get anything close to the variables and calculations of Questionscout? I don't like really give too much away, but I was just like, hey, is there something that I'm missing where I don't have to add every single question's response to a variable? And they said, no, like this is the way to do it, which is a pain in the ass. So once again, if you're somebody like me who really needs an intuitive quiz builder, like lead gen quiz builder thing, Questionscout is going to be hands down the winner there. Super intuitive, as you saw earlier. You just duplicate down, and all of that stays intact, and it tallies it for you. It's awesome. What else do we have? And then for Qwary, Qwary is really great if you need more like NPS style questions. If you maybe need to collect some sort of video response, that was somewhere down here. I don't know. I forget where it is. Read. Feel like to be oh, did I remove the question entirely? I don't know. Anyway, I shut it down. Anyway, Qwary is really great for like video responses and for analytics. Has much more comprehensive like results and analytics output in terms of like graphs, different stats, questions, responses, sentiment, like kind of word clouds, etc. Right. So what you're going to get back from this in terms of actual feedback is going to be better. But I think just overall, something that, as I'm calling a holistic platform, Questionscout is hands down the best. I think most things you ask of it, except for like maybe that whole table thing that I showed you here, like, yeah, okay, this doesn't exist yet. I mean, maybe it's something that they'll work on if there's great enough demand. I don't think there is, but overall, generally speaking, whether it be lead gen, whether it be, getting signatures, there's signature field as well, right? You can collect signatures from people. You can even disable typing, so it's truly just drawing. Upload documents, etc. Like Questionscout is going to be hands down the winner. I think also just, especially for my use case, the redirects, having all the different thank you pages to set conditionally based on all types of things is massive. The fact that you can set it to a number or variable is awesome. So you can pit things against each other. You can say, I'll remove this. Oops. Right. But if product 1 is greater than product 2, more than, right, then show this page, right? Like that is extremely important for me in my use case, and I think Questionscout's invaluable in this aspect. And just because of how powerful their variables are in comparison to everything else that I've tried, this simply wouldn't be possible with a different solution. Like I said, maybe kind of possible with BlockSurvey, but just not to the same extent. I think the weakness is in the results at the moment. I know they plan on working on that before this massive overhaul. So I think now that it is where it is, expect to see this evolve and grow into something a lot more comprehensive, whether it be months to come or et cetera, months, weeks. I don't know how soon that's coming down the pipeline. Integrations, I didn't really talk about integrations, but you've got a lot of your basics here. Got like Pabbly, Integrately, different pixels for tracking, your different payment processors, and you also have webhooks too, right? And also has logs, which is really nice, just so you can troubleshoot if there's any sort of errors, and just to verify. Notifications, super powerful. in terms of your SMTPs, confirmations, notifications, etc. Anyway, I highly recommend Questionscout. I personally am on the business LTD plan. I love my unlimited everything. I got 10 users, 10 guests. Are 10 guests new? Anyway, so I can bring on teammates from different projects and have them collaborate and help me like create and publish things together. Check out your plan usage of like different domains, etc. Unlimited, don't have to worry about any of this. Yeah, custom domains work super well, super easy to set up. I haven't had any issues with those. I don't even remember propagation taking a long time. Some other platforms will offer like custom domains, and then you might have to sit around for 24, 48 hours, which obviously is within the normal standard like deviation for propagation, but usually it's much quicker. With Questionscout, wasn't an issue to get that set up. SMTP, I personally haven't set it up, but I know it's possible, and I can't imagine that you'll run into issues. Like as long as your settings are set up correctly, that should be smooth sailing. But yeah, so the current LTD is here. Scroll up, bada bing, bada boom. You've got 13 days and some odd hours to make a decision. But I highly recommend it. And then this is what's included with all plans. I don't think you're really going to get this in many other places, right? Except maybe like a WordPress solution. But in terms of SaaS products, unlimited forms and responses is not typical at all, especially branding removal as well, right? Like, let me pull up something like Cap, for example, or even like Qwary. Is Qwary still on? Oh, I think Query's gone. All right, but if we take a look at Cam Panda, and I did a video of comparing the two before. There we go. So you'll see here, like you do have form views, and like form counts, limited forms, unlimited domains, but you're really restricted on how many responses you get. Like you have to pay $2.99, which is the current asking price of Questionscout to get unlimited. But it's unlimited for even the solo plan, right? $59 for somebody that is truly like a solopreneur and a one-man show. Like this is all you need, and it's more or less generous, right? In terms of like guests and collaborators, like you're missing out on that stuff. And maybe if you're not really heavily relying on file uploads, that's going to be a bit weaker for you. But in terms of like just actual responses and surveys, you have very little restrictions otherwise. Branding removal and everything. You have all the same field types and features of the other plans, truly just your upload limit and your guests and collaborators. And obviously teamwork is not going to be included because you don't have a team to collaborate with and you only have your one custom domain. I would generally, for the most part, then highly recommend agency to anybody. Even the agency offers 20 custom domains. You saw me, I have 0.3 at the moment. I plan on adding a lot more. I have forms actually embedded a lot of places, which is why I don't use custom domains as much, right? Which is sort of the beauty of embedding, is you don't need CNAME. But for those with much larger operations, go for business for sure. Unlimited custom domains is awesome. And yeah, you could get super nutty and go as far as $1,000, right? I think 10 collaborators is totally fine. In most instances, I think you can invite people as guests, which is fine. But if you have like your team as collaborators and then you're pulling in guests/clients to sort of like supervise and manage different things along the way, I think you can do rotations through your 10 guests and you don't then have to like dip into collaborators because it's more about your team. And I get the feeling that if you ever have more than 10 people working on forms at one time with your account, yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's overkill at that point. I couldn't imagine you have like a marketing team of 100 people where they all need to be editing forms differently. where you couldn't simply just share an account at that point. Sorry, Questionscout. I'm sort of like advocating against this. You know, but anyway, yeah. What are we doing? Well, okay. So let me sort of back it up, right? So when you have workspaces, you'll see here, like I have like me on everything, and then you have like a team member on some things. So obviously, if you do have a lot of clients and you have a lot of people, a lot of different, oh boy, different lot of collaborators, like you can assign collaborators to specific projects that they're working on. Nice. I feel like if you're doing 100 collaborators, you're doing really well for yourself, right? But anyway, that's because, yeah, I mean, all existing new features, there's features that do not have any costs associated with them, which is fine. I mean, I think that's reasonable and fair, right? I mean, I think we have to be realistic in terms of like MMR or MRR, and what we should and shouldn't expect. I'm trying to even think of like what an example of that would be, but if it's obviously something that's like usage intensive, then I think it's reasonable for them to ask for some sort of compensation to upgrade to that, right? But in terms of like more fields and more features that are just more quality of life stuff and like just general improvements to the platform, and new features, then I think it's fine. And it's there, right? I mean, they're not being shy about it. They're being pretty transparent about it. The other thing too is that I've talked to Questionscout, especially from the last LTD. I had a million one questions, like I'm sure a lot of you do. And the team was always super responsive and extremely helpful. I don't think I ever received just like a one sentence answer from them, right? Like it was always very thorough. There was usually like a link to docs to further explain and for me to reference. And they never like started ignoring me because I just kind of like kept asking question after question of like, okay, well then what about this or what about that? And okay, well if I do that, then what about this? Like they were always thorough and very patient. And like I said, even before this whole like V2 massive revamp of the UI, there were constant updates, very regular updates of new features, and they were always pulling from like the roadmap and like feature request board, where people were upvoting and asking for different new features or improvements. They were always super receptive of that. Like payments was one. Payments wasn't included in the initial LTD, but people were upvoting that and saying like, hey, we really love payments, and they implemented it, and I really like their implementation of it. I think it's a slightly quirky that you have to go through like the settings, right? But they actually, before it was like just in settings, but now they've separated it out to be its own like little payments thing here. And then, you know, here's where you're dictating the actual cost. You're either saying like, this is $50, or you're saying that whatever the number field is, I'll right click it. This is the wrong thing, obviously, right? But you know, you can choose truly just an actual field, maybe like a donation, where you say like, hey, you know, if you want to donate $10, put $10, and that's what you're donating. Or here is an actual like cost associated with it. We're saying like, you know, product one, or maybe the entire price of all products added together, is what the dynamically populated payment's going to be, right? And then how users see that is going to be, oops, I always do that. How users see that will be like actually submitting the form. But yeah, the team is great, super receptive. They've never had like a bad attitude or any sort of like sour response towards anybody. They've always been super professional, and extremely transparent and open and honest with everybody. So yeah, for me, I did business last time. It's $249 last time. Now it's $299. It's the price of the second time around, but I don't think $50 is, you know, like make or break for that tier. To be honest, I don't know. I don't remember what the other tiers were. But for me, $50 is well worth it. I think this revamp is a massive improvement over the last iteration, and I think they can truly take Questionscout and market it to anybody and everybody as an extremely solid, robust option that can compete and go toe to toe with things like a SurveyMonkey, you know, or more ubiquitous player in the space. So I highly recommend Questionscout. Not enough good things to say about it. Does that sound right? Does that sound negative or positive? There are a lot of great things to say about it. That's what I mean. There are a lot of great things to say about it. Not that I can't say good things about it. There we go, right? Yeah, you've got 13 days. I've got this video. I have like some other videos where I've touched on Questionscout, especially Questionscout v something like Captain Panda, which is obviously almost equally priced, right? I mean, and here, like conditional receivers, you don't get that even in your first tier with Questionscout. Same price, $59. You're getting unlimited, right? This is session recordings are crap. This is a terrible feature of Captain Panda. That's negligible. It's unusable. Don't even process that. And here you're doing total storage versus this is like uploads per month, right? So that's recurring. This is total. You get team members here. I guess that's a trade-off, but like to me, I rather share a login and have unlimited responses versus 1,000 and 3 team members. Like to me, that's not worth it. They get 179. You're at 139 here. 179. Once again, you're at unlimited. And oops, you're at slightly better numbers. Like I said, this is uploads per month, not total. So in a few months, you can surpass this storage amount. You're at 5 guests, 2 collaborators. So you like it, once again, your importance of teammates. And then 299, you're at the same 299 here for 10 guests, 10 collaborators. You get unlimited here. And unlimited responses, which is good, but you still have a hard cap on storage. And then overall, feature compared to feature, Questionscout blows Captain Panda out of the water. Hands down, Questionscout is the best thing. Captain Panda, for example, has like 1 redirect URL. So you can't even do variables. You can't even do calculations, I should say. In Captain Panda, you can have like variables with conditional logic. In Captain Panda, but then you can't do anything with that. Like you're super limited and restricted to 1 redirect URL, which doesn't make sense to me. Which means you can't do this like massive redirect thing that I showed you earlier. Here, right? With Captain Panda, you only get 1 thank you page, like basically your default thank you page. Questionscout, I can have all of these redirecting to a different URL for every response. All right, that's massive. Yeah. Obviously, if you're watching this, you're probably familiar with the group. Ask questions. Don't be shy. I joke and kid and say like, don't ask questions, just buy it, right? Obviously, ask questions. If you have a question, I'll try to answer it as best as possible. Hopefully, you can reference this walkthrough and get some answers. If not, I'll try to provide them as best as possible. I'm also not support or the developer, so naturally reach out to the Questionscout team if you have something like that's a little more complex and need a slightly more robust answer than what I could probably provide. But the system naturally a lot better than I do. Yeah, so I'm going to wrap that up, call it for today. I will be back with another video at some point, maybe on Questionscout if there are like maybe some feature updates between now and 13 days, if they have somebody or something kind of like on deck that they've been working on but like holding off releasing, wanted to save it for this. I'll touch on that if it comes out. But yeah, till next time, appreciate anybody that watched, and